What is going on, guys? Vanity here, back with what I'm hoping will be the last video you'll ever need to watch on organising your sample library. It's a big statement, I know, but I've been wanting to make this video for some time now, so I hope it delivers on that promise. I've read through every article, every Reddit post, and watched every video on this subject. Everyone has different opinions, different needs, and produces different music. So given that, I'm expecting this to be a starting point for some, inspiration for others, and perhaps a finished system for the rest. I've broken this video down into two halves, as the title suggests. The first half is my philosophy behind organising samples, as well as 3 tips for collecting and building your own sample library. The second is the actual folder breakdown for the library, which is a free download to save you all some time. I think that both parts are important for understanding how and why I created this, as well as how to maintain and keep an organised library. But as always, the chapter times are below. Without further ado, let's get into my philosophy. When you buy sample packs, there can be upwards of 500 separate samples in there. Go through them. There's 100 kick samples. You don't need that many. Choose the ones you like and will use in the future and delete the rest. Finalise the 20 or 30 you like and delete what you'll never use. The idea is to create your own personalised, streamlined library. Don't keep samples arranged in other people's systems. Take the sounds you like and put them into your own system that makes sense to you. This is of course personal preference. You may choose to keep every sample even if you most likely won't ever use them, and that's fine. But on the back of that, it's important to actually develop your own sample library as opposed to just collecting others. Everyone has access to the same sample libraries you do, but they don't have access to you. I've got a few methods I'd like to share that you can start implementing today in order to begin collecting your own samples. Number 1 is recording yourself and your friends in a jam session. Have your buddies over one night in the studio and just record everything that happens. The best samples often come from improvisation or when that record button isn't on. At the end of the night, you'll have a few hours worth of recordings which you'll then have to go through and chop and tail to take the bits you like. But after a few of these sessions, you've got a whole library of sounds that no one else on the planet has access to. Another option will be to carry a portable recorder everywhere you go to collect sounds in your everyday environment. Public ambiences, cafe backdrops, weather sounds, or even those random street performers. There really is plenty to record when you're actually consciously aware of it. Portable recorders are cheap too. They run from battery and are pretty small. The Zoom H1 costs around £80 or $100, and the sound quality I can vouch for personally as being pretty surprising for the price. If you're after something more expensive with more options and control, the Zoom H5 and H6 will be good options. My third and final idea would be to set up production sessions in where the only goal is to create sounds. A lot of producers I know personally sit down every day to try and create some kind of composition or arrangement, but producing a full track doesn't have to always be the goal. I've known producers who suffer with writer's block say that just sitting down and creating sounds has kicked them straight out of it. Creating sounds with no given objective is something you should have fun with too and make the most of all your studio equipment. Again, as with my first suggestion, after a few days or weeks of this, you'll have tons of sounds that can be used for future productions. If you've got any more ideas about building up your own library of sounds, share them down below in the comments section. Before I even go into the folder structure of this sample library, I want to reiterate right up front that you can download this below for free to save you making all the folders yourselves. Again, this may just serve as a starting point for you, but I think this will give anyone a pretty solid organisational workflow for their sample library. I'm a producer myself first, so I've implemented a few features that will speed up my own workflow when browsing for samples, but I'll explain them as we go. This is how the folder structure looks from a bird's eye view. I've tried my best to keep the amount of folders limited to the core essentials here, and then broken down the sound type as you click through the folders. At least with my mind, I will have a sound from one of these top categories in my head, and then break it down as I click through a list of folders to narrow down my options. I won't cover absolutely everything here, as I'm sure with many of the folders, they're pretty self-explanatory as to what goes in them, but I will show you the breakdown for everything in here. I'll start at the top and work my way down. Inside the base folder, we've got just about every base category I could think of. Most of the folders in here are empty, but if we look into the sub-base for example, you can see that we've got both loops and one-shots. I like to keep these two separate and have across the design of this folder layout. I'm personally either looking for one or the other, a one-shot to place in a sampler or a loop to chop and rearrange for example. Brass and woodwinds looks like so. Some of these folders you may want to delete if you don't use these types of instruments, but I have tried to cater for any producer or sound designer, allowing you to delete what you don't need. Cinematic effects is for just this reason. This is more catering to the sound designers who produce for movies, TV shows, trailers, etc. or any Foley work. You can see that I've broken all of these down further so you can find the exact sound you're looking for. Drums. This may be the most interesting to you guys as the drums are at the core of our work. This is one of the folders in which I've designed from a producer's workflow standpoint. I've done this by numbering the folders in the way that a producer may opt to create a drum beat. Find your kicks first, then your snares, etc. You can work your way down the list, building the drum groove as you go. Again though, please change this to suit your own workflow. You can see I've got subfolders allowing for easy access of a specific style of each one-shot sample. You may want to change these to genre names as opposed to what I've got here. Effects, guitar and piano all speak for themselves. I use guitar and piano loops a lot, even just for inspiration, and wanted to make sure each sound in the given style was broken down accordingly. Percussion. Some may keep this with their drum hits. Again, it comes down to personal preference. Percussion are technically separate from drums, so theoretically they should be kept separate. I found myself in situations where I'm just after percussion for, say, on cinematic work, or when the drum beat is down and you want something a little extra to enhance it. Strings and synths looks like so. I've tried to keep everything light with these top folders and then get more specific as you dive deeper. With each of these two folders, maybe more so in the synths folder, you may want to split sounds into one-shots and loops again. For myself, I mainly work with synth loops when I'm looking for audio samples, but for the most part, I will stick to synthesizer VSTs. Vocals for me are very important. I've tried to split them up as much as possible depending on exactly what style you're looking for. When I work with vocalists, I get them to sing a bunch of different harmonies and oohs and ahs, just for my own collection. Again, going back to what I spoke about in the beginning of this video regarding building up your own collection. The recorded folder here right underneath is then for anything I've recorded with singers, even the full takes from our sessions, as you never know where you might find that golden sample. It's important to keep everything, both after the session and during. Never delete a take. The bottom four folders have a letter before them to keep each at the end of the library as they're separate from the above audio sample folders. Sound libraries contains exactly that. My contact libraries, DAW libraries, machine libraries, etc. I've also got a folder for synth presets nestled in here as I feel like they all belong together. It's basically a folder that contains all of the sounds and presets for your third-party instruments and DAW. Temporary. This is a folder I found immensely useful ever since implementing it last year. Organising and maintaining your sound library is a lot of work, except that this is the case and set aside time to do so and nothing else. It's time consuming, but it's a time investment that will pay for itself many times over. Because of this, I'll drop everything I've downloaded that week into this folder, and then on Sunday, my maintenance day, I have time set aside to go through this and listen to them, categorise, rename and move them into my organised library. It's like batch processing to save time. If you do this on the same day every week, it saves you from collecting up too many packs in this folder. I also think it's more convenient and usually only takes me a few minutes per pack. Earmarks. Another trick I use is to have a separate earmarks folder. When going through my library, if I find something that's not necessarily what I'm looking for right now, but a sound I may want to come back to later, I copy and paste the file into my earmarks folder to bookmark it. Then later, independently, if in need of inspiration, I'll go to this folder and revisit those sounds. Unsorted. This folder is for using while you're sorting out your sample library into a new system. So if for example you adopt this one, you can drop everything into this folder that's to be sorted, and that way you know what's left to do. It also keeps your sample library all together while transitioning over to a new system. A side note too for you producers on the move. Upload your whole library when it's sorted to a cloud service such as Dropbox. This serves two purposes. One, it's a complete backup if anything were to happen to your drive, and two, you've got access to your sample library whenever you've got an internet connection, at your buddy's place, in a studio other than your own, on holiday, etc. The truth is, with sample libraries, it's a bit of a challenge and there is no silver bullet. The trick is to find a way of working that works for you and invest time in it. I've listed and linked a bunch of free resources, sample packs and sounds you can download in the pinned comment below, so make sure you check them out. Also, feel free to comment any more and I'll add them into this list. Alright, that's all I've got for you today guys. As always, thank you for watching and I hope this video lived up to its title. Please share any suggestions, ideas and thoughts you have on the subject in the comments below. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. I'm out. Peace.